Hey everybody, my name is Lisa, and I just wanted to talk about my near-death experience, my out-of-body experience. Happened back in 2021 when I had a car accident. It happened June 14th. I distinctly know because I had the show of my life getting ready to happen on June 16th. And I remember the thing that I was most concerned about was the fact that I was going to miss my show. I'm a professional vocalist by trade, so I was not happy. And my manager, who's also my soul sister, hated to come in the room and give me this news after the accident. But let's back up to the day of the accident. It was pretty much a normal day. I had gone to the gym, had worked out. I was on my way to the chiropractor because I was actually going to the chiropractor for issues with my ear. I had been convinced that the two were related and really just ended up being expensive. Never did solve the problem, just to be honest. But anyway, I was on my way to this appointment, and I was on the phone with someone who was a part of assisting me with what I do, and all of a sudden they gave me this news that was sort of like, oh my gosh. I thought they had been forthright and honest about something that they hadn't been, and so that sort of jarred me for a minute. But I'm just driving on the highway, still normal. We're still having a conversation. And I remember this person comes up beside me and they're just like freaking out. I don't know what's going on. I never did get an understanding of what they're doing, signs, and they're driving beside me and they're taunting me. It was just very, very strange. And I remember thinking, let me get behind this person and get this person off of me. So I switch lanes, I come behind them. And when I come behind them, they slam on the brakes as if to say, bam. That was the intention. They slam on the brakes. I go completely, not initially. Initially, I thought I would be able to kind of just slam on the brakes, not slam on the brakes, just push on the brakes, and then the car would come back into control. Oh boy, was I mistaken. No, it did not come back in control. And at some point, I came to the realization that I'm not going to be able to bring this car back into a place of control. So I remember some intuitive notion of knowing, just let go. The person on the other end, I had the phone on speaker, by the way, said that I said very sweetly, very quietly, Jesus. I said, that's what I said. And so this is not to push a particular religion because I'm actually more spiritual than anything. However, my upbringing does come from that particular way of life in terms of Christianity and Jesus being the center. So I had, if nothing else, put a lot of energy on that particular being and trust in my life. And it was sort of saying that name was also a part of my training, that you say that name, or it sometimes comes out automatically just as a result of you needing something urgent. I'll say it that way. And so they said I said it. I didn't even know I had said it until later on, much later. So let me back up. About a month or so before the car accident, I felt compelled to go to Home Depot and actually get a aloe vera plant. I was like, what? I don't really use this. But it was like, stop at Home Depot, get an aloe vera plant. I never used the plant. It sat, it grew, beautiful, great. So moving forward, I'm in this car accident. I've lost control. And then all of a sudden, what I now understand as having left my body for a particular period of time, the car, and I was in a truck, the truck continued to spin out of control. It hit the cement viaduct, so you can only imagine. So even if I remember having on my cruise control at 65, I do that to keep me at the speed limit. But once you lose control, the car is going faster than it should be. So I don't know what it was, 70, 75, but it hit the cement block on the highway, if you can imagine. And that's what happened in this dimension. I understand that, and I know that from people telling me the story. But that didn't happen to me. Where I was at was a completely different dimension. I literally left my body, not just me, but the entire vehicle. This is interesting. I left with the vehicle. We went up over the viaduct, over the rail, into this peaceful place of water. That's what happened to me. What happened on the other end, something completely, but what happened to me, the essence of who I am, my soul, we left with the vehicle, went over the viaduct into water. Now, I live in Arizona, so first of all, there was no water. There was no water over there, but that was the experience that I had. So I never felt any impact from the accident. I never felt, as they explained to me, that the airbag hit my face in such a way that it left a burn and all these different things. None of the stuff that you can see right now. Okay? So I don't know how long after this that all of a sudden I hear someone calling me. Now, not by name. I think they were just saying ma'am, or may have known my name just based on the license. And it's like I shot back in to that experience, right? Back into my body, into that experience. But here's the interesting part. So keep this in mind. I was driving my vehicle. There was nobody on the passenger side. There is that middle part where you're able to shift gears, right? And so that stick was right in the middle, and it was just a regular automatic vehicle. When I woke up, I was lying on my stomach with my head on the seat, sort of like this, like if one would be sleeping like this. And I was on the opposite side. So if you can envision, I'm on my stomach. My head is on the passenger side seat. My feet are at the door of the driver's side, and I'm just lying flat. And it's like I woke up, and when I woke up, I had an awareness that some trauma had happened, but not enough. I had an awareness that something had happened. I don't know if I looked at it like a trauma, because the first thing I did was push myself up to start getting up and to start walking. And no, he goes crazy. He's like, no, you can't walk. But in my mind, everything was back intact, right? I was back into this dimension, into this realm, and I hear them saying something about, we're gonna have to life flight her. And I remember going out of consciousness. I come back in consciousness enough to pick up my phone, believe it or not. My phone had came off of the hold, and it was on the floor in front of me. Or where the phone, I don't know if the phone was, I don't know where the phone came from. It was right there in front of me. I remember picking it up because later on that afternoon or that morning, I had to go pick up my soul sister, who's also my manager, from the airport. And I remember calling someone and saying, hey, can you pick up from the airport, because I've been in an accident. And then I just hung up the phone. They said I was so calm and so peaceful, they thought it was like a fender bender. So they went to come where I was, because they're thinking it's this mild, and the highway was completely shut down. And they were like, what the heck's going on? Because they talked to me on the phone. I talked like there was nothing that happened. And they find out that all that's happening on the highway, that I was the one that caused this whole, the accident I was in is the one that shut down the highway. And so here I am in the car. I come to just enough to make the phone call, go back. I don't remember anything else except hearing them say light flight. And the next thing I remember is that I am going down a corridor and someone goes, oh, I hear the nurse or whoever's working there go, oh my God, her face. I come back conscious enough to say, now wait a minute now. Now God, we got to talk. My face cannot be messed up. Whatever's happened in this accident. But in all of this, I'm still not thinking something major has happened, because I don't feel it. Wherever I went and came back from, I'm in a state of complete peace, right? So I even get on the phone again. I come to again. I call my sister, who's a nurse, and she's able to pick up emergency, or she worked in emergency rooms for many, many years, urgency signs and she doesn't pick up anything. She said, I was so calm, she assumed it was a fender bender. So I'm on the phone and I'm just saying, hey, Comfort, we call each other Comfort. Hey, Comfort, I was in a car accident. And she's like, oh my God, are you okay? I said, oh yeah, I'm okay. And this is the tone she says I'm talking in. And she says, well, where are you? And I go, hey. She said, I start going, hey, where am I at? And I'm like, they tell me where I am. I'm like, I got this uncomfortable thing on my neck. Tell them to take it off. Of course, they wouldn't because they thought maybe my neck was broken, all this. So all of this, and I'm in this complete state of bliss or of peace. And a day or so later, they come in my room, or the same day they come in once I get to my room and they say, ma'am, you're going to have emergency surgery, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not having surgery. Nothing's wrong with me. I call my chiropractor and ask them, to get me together. Because I'm in and out of this state that is not a state that you'd be in after you guys, after I tell you guys all the things that were broken. So he comes in the next day. I said, come back the next day. I tell the doctor. And then my sister's on the phone, have it on speaker. He's sort of a little annoyed, like, okay, now I got to talk to another person. Then he finds out she's a nurse and she's giving him his language back. He squats down and they're having a full conversation. And I'm listening going, who are they talking about? He said, yeah, this is broken. Her hip, the tibular, she's broken something in her back. That's got to be reconstructed. They went on and on about all the things that were broken. She has bleeding in the chest area. There's broken fractured bones in the front and in the back. And I'm on the phone like, what? Who are you talking about? I mean, I come to find out that my hip is not just broken, fractured, but disconnected. I find out that my pelvis has been broken, all this stuff has been shattered. All things that typically you don't make it because it hits all of your vital organs and people don't make it. So all this stuff is broken. And I'm lying there in shock, still in the state from wherever I went, I came back with this sort of all is well. And so after, Comfort, who's the nurse, listened to the doctor and was sort of like, and even when I talked to the chiropractor, it's like, sorry, Lisa, you're going to have surgery for this. They got to put you back together. And that's what happened. I end up having screws in my back and a plate in my hip and several screws that are connected to that. I did some pretty serious damage would have happened if I had not had the surgery. I'm talking about from a physical standpoint. I wouldn't be walking, and it still wasn't promised that I would be in motion after that. But I went from a wheelchair, as I say, to a walker, to a cane, and now let's talk about the aloe vera plant. So my head was out to here. My eyes were purple, red, yellow, but I had enough sense. People told me what they looked like. I didn't look at my face because I knew that I didn't want that as a vision. Not only would I not look at it, but I wouldn't talk about the accident. I wouldn't answer anyone. I'm not talking about the accident. My focus is my healing, not the accident. And so as that time continued on, I found out the reason why I needed the aloe vera plant, because I needed to put it up here and here where I'd had like a scar, and my nose had been impacted by the accident, and I think burnt from the airbag. But my head, excuse me, was completely swollen, and they didn't know what kind of scar it would leave. But every day I administered the aloe vera and the vitamin and pure vitamin E. That's also what I knew I was supposed to have. I told him to order pure vitamin E, and I just applied that every day. And one day a scab fell off of my head and a scab fell off of my nose, and I just kept applying it, and eventually nothing was left. Just have a little, you can't probably even see it, I have a little scar there from the accident. But as time progressed, I learned that, I had definitely opened up another realm. Now here's probably why it wasn't so huge of a deal to me leaving my body, is because this was something that I've done in my life. I've always been pretty mystical and spiritual, and I could connect with spirit and hear things and see things and all of that. And so This was, I guess, just another event. It was just a little bit more eerie because I never had it where it was through an accident where I actually left my body and had a near-death experience. That's a little bit different, and had someone like call me back to, this realm. It was kind of wild. And so why am I telling it now? Well, I'm telling it now because I feel like it's the time to do it. It's the space to do it, but also maybe to sort of to normalize it and to open up a different door of the other things that I do, which are very, very still connected to me going into other realms and other dimension and receiving information. And I do that through dreams. I do that through, I sing. So there's a piano down here in front of me, and I will create a song specifically for a person just by talking to them, listening to them, tuning into who they are. And I think that all of those things come together. I think, I believe that I am the captain and the anchor and the co-creator of my own soul experience, and that experience was in place to awaken and to take me to a different level and to bring me into a place of doing what I'm really here to do in a very clear, unashamed way. I did it before on the church side, but once I evolved into more expansiveness, I've been singing and performing, and I do it more behind the scene. I mean, I have dreams, I go into other dimensions, and I give messages to people that I don't know, and those messages have always proven to be exactly what they needed. But I think, talking about this brings me into the time of, it's time to talk about these things, help other people process through these things, as well as opening up the other mystical side of myself to others to share that. So, yeah, that's my out of body, beautifully protected. And the other thing I will say is that I don't even know how to say this because it was like more than one dimension. So my brother in love, I call him, he has transitioned, and my mother, but there was a clear presence of both of them in the vehicle with me. And I don't have the timing as to when they were in the vehicle with me, but I have the knowing and the vision that they were there, and they helped to orchestrate my protection, if that makes sense. Because as I said, I was lying flat on my stomach like a baby. I just woke up like, okay, I need to get the phone and start talking. It was like, yeah. And I had several other things that have happened after and connected to this car accident where the anesthesiologist, because I had to have surgery again, had to make a call during that time, and they were concerned about if I'd be able to come back to this dimension during surgery. But I'll get into more of that as I share more with you guys about the stories and all the metaphysical things and the visitations and the, things dropping out of one dimension into another, all of a sudden into my hand. And so it's interesting stuff. I like it though. And I'm looking for my soul tribe of folks that we can talk about this, and I can share more with you. All right. Peace and love.